Okay, great. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'll just say a few things and then I'll show you a few things. So basically, like I try to leave that computer on in the meeting house because it just, it doesn't have a lot on board and it goes into a low power state. So it's not a big deal to leave it on. That way I can access it remotely if I need to. But worst case scenario, you come in, you turn on the computer manually. Like if I have come in sometimes and the computer's turned off. So if you turn it on and it'll go through, it's like, wind up. I'm sure everybody works with Windows computers or everybody knows how to turn on a computer. Although I have had people tell me the computer's broken. I need a new computer. And it's like not plugged in. So
Oh dear.
the first thing you have to do is make sure when the computer doesn't start is make sure it's plugged
Mhm.
in.
I've done that before. I
Mhm.
have done that before.
Exactly. But assuming that it's plugged in or it's turned on, and I'll share my screen now so we can all be looking at the same thing.
Mhm.
You're going to get a screen that this is, can everybody see that?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. So now you're looking at the desktop basically of the computer there. And the first thing you need is a passcode. So when you click on that, you're going to get a PIN number. I think the PIN number is on the sheet too that we
Yeah, it
handed
is.
out.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
1936. And then it'll come up now. What's the Zoom window is open, so I'm just going to X that out. And now you're just looking at the desktop. So I want to point out a couple of things here. One is the volume control. So this computer is hooked up to the large monitor in the meeting house, right? And that's where the sound comes out of. And that monitor volume control is down here.
Oh, okay. That's where it is. That was one of my
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you see it's X'd out right now. And the reason that it's X'd out, and you can see it says Sony TV muted when I just put my cursor over it.
Uh-huh.
It's X'd out because the Zoom link that we use for the meeting house is just out there on the internet. And people can join the meeting before this computer joins the meeting. So they could be in there talking and they could even be
Uh-huh.
there after this computer leaves the meeting. So this computer doesn't control that meeting natively. It just joins the meeting as if it was another member joining the meeting. So I mute that because when you join the meeting, if those people are talking, all that volume will come out into the meeting house, right? So the first thing you want to be able to check is just to make sure is that volume on or off, and you probably want to exit out because there may be some people in
Mhm.
the meeting house and you don't open up that volume unless you want to be able to hear what people in the meeting are saying, right? Follow me?
Got it.
So
Wait. So,
I'm so
in people in the meeting or people on? I'm sorry. Go
on
ahead,
Zoom.
Peter.
People in the
Yeah, I
Zoom
was gonna say
meeting. Yeah, people in the
Zoom.
Zoom meeting.
Okay,
So
Zoom meeting,
yeah,
right?
in
Not
the
the
Zoom,
one in the meeting house.
not the one. Yeah, exactly. So now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to join the meeting, join the Zoom meeting. And this is set up to make it easy. There's a link to that Zoom meeting right on the Radnor, right here. It's this link right on the desktop. Now, the other place, of course, where you can get to it, that same link, I'll show you in a minute, is from the meeting website. So if for some reason that wasn't there, you could
Mhm.
just pull up a browser, and you could
Mhm.
access the link right from here. You just go to the website and and there it is, that link. That link there
Mhm.
will pull up exactly the same. See that? It says you can access the Zoom meeting
Yeah.
through this link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
So, you never know. You might come in one day and it's like that, but that link isn't there. That's how you would access it. The other thing I want to say is that there's a little bit of physical stuff that goes on in the meeting house. One is turning on the monitor, like in the meeting house, because you got to make sure that's turned on. Otherwise, if
Right.
it's not turned on, you won't see anything. And
Hmm.
then and when I'm talking about the monitor, I mean the Sony TV that's like angled up, the big flat panel. That's got to be turned on. And the volume, the on button is on the left hand side of the television, and it's marked with a piece of tape, but it's on the back of the screen. You know, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never
and
mind.
then the other thing is you got to take those Bluetooth microphones, and they are on the floor below where the monitor, the big flat panel is. They're on the floor powering up. You just take those out and you turn them on. And when you turn them on, a blue light will appear on them that shows that they're on. And they can be left on for the whole meeting. So sometimes what happens is people turn them on, turn them off when they're stop using them, and then if you don't turn them back on, they don't work. So you got to keep them on so it shows a blue light rather than a red light. Okay, so then you're going to assuming all that is set up, and then you're going to be able to see what's on the big TV is duplicated on your monitor, which is right in front of you. So you don't have to be like looking at the monitor. You'll see an exact duplicate of what's on that monitor on the monitor that's right in front of you, at the computer station, right? Okay. So you're going to click that and it's going to say join from Zoom Workplace app. And now you're going in. Now this is not going into the meeting that we're in, okay? It's going into the Zoom meeting that's normally used for worship, okay? I hope that makes sense, right? We're joining
Yeah.
a different Zoom meeting right now than the one that we're in. And I could have had us join that meeting. It's dark in the meeting house right now, so that's why you're not seeing much because the sun's going down. But you can see it there and see it says not hearing anything, turn up the volume. That's because the volume on the Sony TV is X'd out. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want to open it up now, right?
No, I wouldn't open it up yet because you're not gonna because normally when you come in here, there may be one or two people already there in that Zoom meeting and they'll be talking, right? And so you don't want necessarily
Okay.
for them to be their conversation to be going out into the meeting house, right?
Okay.
But what you will see is that there is, I don't know if you can see, let me see if I can move this. Yeah, okay. Okay, can you see that there is a audio
Yeah.
button there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
that is controlling whether the microphones are working. Okay.
Okay.
So when you click that so that it's muted like that, now no sound will come out of the microphones in the meeting house. And what that means in essence is that the people on Zoom can't hear what's going on in the meeting house through those microphones.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that has to
Yeah.
be turned on before meeting for worship, then obviously.
Yes, that has to be turned on. And usually it's pretty quiet in there, so you could leave that open without it being a big deal to them. But if you open up the volume control on the Sony, then the meeting will hear everything that's going on, in the Zoom meeting. Like they'll hear the chatter, right?
Okay.
So that's why I leave that closed. Okay, so I'm gonna show you one other thing that you need to know. So now,
Can I just ask a quick
yeah,
question,
go
David?
for it. Yeah.
When I was following your the paper that you wrote, and you had two things. One with number 5 that says start Zoom in and log in using a personal account or simply as a guest.
Yeah,
Are we skipping that because it no
yeah.
longer does somebody call themselves a host anymore? Is that right?
Well, this is what I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
We are logged in right now as a guest, so we did not log into the Zoom app. Okay. And you can't see, I wonder if you can see the Zoom app. Oh, yeah, look, you can see. So it's set up to log into my account, but it is not logged in. So we are actually not logged into the Zoom app right now. We are just logged in as a guest.
Okay.
So how do we?
So,
I'm sorry.
yeah, how do you become the host? That's what you want to know, right?
Well, yeah, I did
Yeah.
follow that YouTube video.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. That's exactly what I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
So this is a little bit of complexity, but I think you'll understand this. The host could be somebody who's in the Zoom meeting remotely. Okay. So the host doesn't have to be the person in the meeting house. The
Okay.
host could be somebody else, or the host could be the person who's in the meeting house, right? So if you want the host to be the person in the meeting house, this is how you're going to do it. So you go to this, see it says participants. See that tab, participants?
Mhm. Yeah.
So you're going to click on that, and that's going to open up the participants panel, which is this panel on the side. And this is going to show you everybody that is in the meeting. I can also X that out just again, so if you want to get rid of it. But if you want to open it up, you've got two things that are going to open on that panel. One is the chat, so you could open up the chat, or you can open up the participants. The participants is going to show you everybody who's in the meeting. And what you're going to see is at the bottom, you see this button that says claim host.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to click on claim host, and then you're going to put in this number 033732.
Right.
Claim host.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are the host. See?
Okay.
It says Radnor Meeting host, right? So that's the easiest way for you to become the host, to just use that code. And now what that gives you the power to do is it gives you the power to mute anybody else that is in the meeting. So that's the big thing of being host. And also, if you needed to, you could kick somebody out of the meeting. You can also have access to the record ability. So you could record this meeting, right? And you can do breakout rooms. You can essentially do anything that a host can do.
I guess record is important for our meetings for
Yeah.
business. So yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
And you just want to make sure you do that before Meeting for Worship starts, then, to make sure you're the host before your worship starts.
You could do that. Yeah, exactly. And then you can monitor. You'll listen. You might hear some noise sometimes. If you're hearing some noise from one of the participants in the meeting, I would mute them. You know what I mean? And I think I might be able to show you how to do that. Let me see. Because
When you say from meeting, you mean from the Zoom meeting?
from the Zoom meeting. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So I'm going to join this from my phone. Hang on. Okay. I'm going to join this meeting from my phone. Let's see. Okay, I'm exiting that. Okay. Join. Okay, you can see. So now I joined. So now you can see me there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to open it up, and there's going to probably be, we'll see what happens when I open up the microphone. We might get some feedback. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what I can do when I'm the host is I could mute anybody in the meeting. So I could mute that. See?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said.
You
Okay.
would go, where would you hit the mute? Would you go to their picture and?
Yeah, you go to their picture,
Oh, okay.
and I'll unmute myself, and then I'll remute so you can see. Okay, so I unmuted. So now you see when I go to their picture, it says mute, right? Click that, and they're muted.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what you would do. And then I could even, if I wanted to, I could even remove that person. I could put them in a waiting room. I could make them co-host, anything you want. And you can also chat with people who are in the meeting, obviously, from the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you
Can
can
you just go over? Sorry.
chat privately as well as everybody sees it.
Yes, you can chat with an individual, or you can chat with one of the participants. So this is with everyone. You could go to new chat, and you could chat with one particular person. See, that's everyone versus one particular person.
So there'll be a drop-down menu to identify individuals then.
Yeah, when you go here, you could pick, since there's only one other person in the meeting, that's why it's only showing me.
Mhm.
Yeah,
David, I have two questions when you have a moment.
sure.
Do you have the chat open on your screen in meetings so you can tell if somebody is muted or something like that and they're trying
Yeah.
to contact?
You can see by looking at the screen
Mhm.
whose audio is open, because if
Right.
their audio is open, you're going to not see that little red
Right.
Yeah.
dot there,
Okay.
So you can also see it from the participants panel. You can see,
Okay.
from the participants panel also, and you can pretty much easily visualize it on the screen.
Okay.
And
All right.
the only other thing that could happen is it might be like that. It would, trying to think, there's one other thing that you might want to be aware of. Oh yeah, which is if you put it in speaker view,
hmm
I don't know if you're used to hosting meetings. If you put it in speaker view, you're going to see
Right.
the last person who talked is going to be here and everybody else is going to be up above or on the side. And you just need to change that from this icon, gallery.
Gallery. Good.
Yeah.
All right. The second question, David, is whether we need to know anything about mirroring the screen or whether it's always mirrored.
No, it's always mirrored. Yeah. So that's a default setting there. And I don't think that will change. You'd have
Okay.
to go in and really mess around with that computer to change it. So
Okay.
I think that's unlikely to change.
All right. And the number for claiming the host, the 6-digit number, I don't see that on the sheet. Oh, I see it
Yeah,
now.
it's there.
I
Yeah.
just looked at when I looked up, I just saw it. Okay, got it.
David,
Great.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So as far as how do you make sure that the audio is connected to the wireless microphones? Like,
So you can test it ahead of time,
okay,
but it should automatically connect.
okay,
Never had to do anything to connect it. It's connected through a USB dongle that's in that computer.
okay.
You can test it, and what you're going to do is, like if we were in the meeting house right now, when you talk into the microphone, you'll see this audio button will turn green.
Oh, okay. So that's how you know it
Yeah,
works.
and
Okay.
also you'll see that. Oh, this is the other thing on more. You can put show captions, right? And you'll know the microphones are working because you're going to see the captions come up. You're going to see
Oh, okay.
the person talking. You know they're working because it's going to translate into words down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really useful, and that's from more,
Mhm.
and it's show captions, basically hide captions or show captions. So that's hide captions and that's show captions, right?
Yeah. Is that on most of the time? We don't have to turn on that captioning feature.
I think it is usually I do have to turn it on. So usually I have to go to that setting and put show captions. It doesn't really matter because I don't think people are reading those captions from the screen, and
Okay.
they on their own device can control whether they're showing the captions. But what it does do that I find is helpful is it allows me to know that the microphones are working.
Yeah.
I can see the
Yeah.
words coming. Yeah, yeah. So the other thing is then once the meeting starts, you want to turn this volume on. And then the way you do that is you go over there, you click that icon with the little mic, with the little, what do you call it? Speaker. Yeah.
Speaker.
You click that, and then you're going to go over here and you're going to click that. And now it's on. And even though it looks like the volume is turned down there, like that volume is actually pretty loud inside the meeting house. So I wouldn't change that unless unless for some reason it's not working right. That is the good volume that it's set to, but you can alter the volume by turning it up or down using that. And when the meeting starts, I turn that on because then I don't have to worry about watching if someone's giving a message from Zoom, because it's going to automatically come out when they unmute. It's going to automatically come out. Make sense?
Okay. Can you just show us how you got that back on? You just clicked it on the bottom there?
Yep.
Bottom,
Yep, I'll show you again. So first I'll turn it off.
okay.
So now it's off. And that'll go away in a sec. Let me see.
Oh, I see. So in other words, that's what I thought. So, okay, now when you click it on, then it shows up.
Yeah, when you go over there, you say you want to turn it on. It says TV, Sony TV muted. You're just going to click it once, and then you're going to go over to the X, and you're just going to click that, and now it's on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Two spots.
yeah.
I have-
So it's
Okay.
click it once to turn it off, click it once to turn it on. Basically, that's how it works.
And then you want to turn it off. When do you want to turn it off?
I usually try to turn it off when the meeting is over because and announcements are done, because then the people on Zoom often want to talk amongst themselves, and you don't necessarily need to have them blaring out into the meeting house. But what
Okay.
sometimes does happen is people want to come over and talk to them for a few minutes. And then you just basically have to leave both things open. You got to leave the microphone open and you got to leave the audio open. Otherwise, no one will be able to hear them from inside the meeting house. So you're leaving those two things open until basically that conversation is done. And then I would turn that sound off on the meeting, that's you're turning off the TV sound. Nothing's coming out. And you could also mute the microphones so they're not getting any background noise from the meeting house. So
Okay.
it's pretty simple. This audio over here, the one on the far left, is controlling the microphones as to whether they're muted or open. And this speaker button is controlling the sound coming out of the TV. Like that's the two audio things that you have to be able to control.
Okay. Basically, one controls the Zoom people and one controls the real people, I guess.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The way you're thinking about it is that the meeting house itself is really joining the Zoom meeting through that computer. And those microphones are attached to the computer wirelessly. And the big monitor is attached to the computer by a cable. So that's how it works. See?
Oh, so I was thinking you said that the microphones were attached by a USB cord to the
Well, they're
computer?
attached by a USB dongle, which uses Wi-Fi. So they are attached through Wi-Fi settings.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there shouldn't be anything we have to do.
No, you don't have to do anything about that. Yeah, it'll just
Okay.
work.
David, when you were just showing us that, as far as putting the sound on and everything, is that through the Zoom app or is that through Windows? How's that?
Okay, so that's a good question, and it's two different places. This one for the Sony TV is part of the Windows environment.
Okay, that's part of
This
Windows.
one is part of the Zoom app.
Okay.
I'm going to show you that I'm going to toggle the Zoom app off full screen. And now you can see, so this is the Zoom app, right? And you
Okay.
see there's that audio button. But the Windows screen is down the bottom here, and that's where that speaker button,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Does that make
So
sense?
that's worth the difference. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you see on your computer is what that big monitor is showing. So
Okay.
that's why I try to make the Zoom screen big, because people want to be able to see those people that are on Zoom, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so I know sometimes, so when the meeting is done, and let's say there's a meeting for business or forum, and that's done. And well, I guess I should say that in between part where people at Zoom might want to talk while everybody else is out in fellowship in the real building.
Right.
So you're letting them talk to themselves, and you explained us how to do that by turning off the microphone in the
Yep.
lower right. Okay. And then at the end of meeting, if people want to still talk on Zoom, you just
They're
let them
in
talk.
Yeah, they're in there having a conversation and you're not really affecting them at all. The only thing is now you're the host.
Right. I was going to say that. Yeah.
So if you try to end the meeting, right, you could leave the meeting, in which case, if they're talking in there, they'll still be in there when you leave.
Okay.
Or you're going to click end the meeting for all, and that's going to terminate their meeting as well as your meeting. And
Okay.
and you don't have to really worry about that because what will happen is if everyone leaves after 40 minutes, the meeting will close out automatically by itself. So you really don't need to worry about that. It'll close out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do
Mhm.
you tend to just hit leave meeting and let them talk and
I
then?
generally don't do anything because because it's like it's funny like it's kind of like they have the psychological impression of being in the meeting house because the meeting window is open there. They can see what's happening in the meeting, so it makes them feel connected to the meeting, even though
Yeah.
like they
Oh,
can't. So I
okay.
just leave it up for them, and then when they leave, it's like kind of like they're leaving the meeting space, and then it just closes out itself after 40 minutes. So I don't
Oh,
have to worry about it. Yeah.
that's handy. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, David, I have one question for you, possibly
Sure.
Margie also, and that
Yeah.
is the instructions to people coming in on Zoom. Are they told to mute during meeting for worship, or do we have any guidance for that?
Yeah, so usually the person who's on the facing bench, which is from worship and ministry, they'll have a microphone there, and they in their opening spiel always remind people on Zoom to mute themselves. Don't forget to mute yourself and unmute if you want to give a message, and then remute when you're done giving a message.
Okay.
Right. So usually that doesn't fall to the person running the
Mhm.
computer to have
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
I guess I think that may have happened a lot more in the past than it happens now.
Yeah.
Um, so just as a person who's been coming the last year and a half or so, that
Yeah.
I don't hear that a lot
It's honored
necessarily.
honored in the breach.
Yes, exactly.
I think what happens sometimes is that you get somebody up on the facing bench and they're like look at the screen and they're like, oh, these are all people who are always here, so they know what the
Sure.
drill is.
Okay.
But I think that you're right. We do try to. I know worship and ministry we've talked about having. I think it's helpful actually for that person from worship and ministry to announce that meeting is beginning because it
Mhm.
helps the people on Zoom know, okay, the meeting's starting now.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I noticed at number 10, at the very end, it says at the end of meeting, leave the desktop on. So that will just go into the hibernation mode, I guess, if we
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
And turn off the flat panel monitor, and you explained
Mhm.
how to do that. And
Yep.
then plug the wireless microphones in so they will charge up.
Yep.
Mhm.
So that's what I was confused about. I thought they were already plugged in, and I probably
They're
misunderstood
plugged in at
that.
the beginning, and then you unplug them to distribute them. Turn them on because they work wirelessly. So you put one goes up at the top next to the facing bench on the corner there, and then one goes in the back on the seat. You just make sure they're turned on, and then at the end of the meeting, you want to return them to the charging cable, which is on the floor, in front of that monitor, the big monitor.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
make
it
sure they're
happens.
turned off, David?
Yes,
Mhm.
make sure they're turned off. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they can charge, yeah, yeah. I mean, they probably would charge if they were turned on, but there's just no point in having them turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Try to look at that. Okay, I haven't noticed that. That's good.
Yeah. Does that all make sense?
Quick
Yeah,
I
question,
think
that's
so.
Mhm.
Yeah, this
David.
is great. So I think we should generally assume that there's not going to be a separate host on our Zoom meetings,
Yeah, I
right?
think I think that's
We're just
probably
going
true.
to,
Yeah.
okay. So we could kind of skip number
Yeah.
5 and go right to 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's very clear until we do it, until I do it. I
And
think it's clear. That's helpful.
a
Thank you
question
so much.
about power.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get power.
Sorry.
We
Okay.
we get power failures.
Right, can you leave that door open just so she can come
Yeah.
in?
If there's a
I'd
power
rather
failure, the
I'd rather her
computer
be out.
will come off
Yeah, yeah.
and it'll
That's
have
fine.
to be
How
turned
people?
on.
That has to be
That's
restarted.
the
It
door
won't
open,
Yeah.
restart
so you
itself when
can
power
just leave
comes
the
back
door
on.
open.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll leave it open.
Leave it
Okay.
open so she can.
Yeah. Yeah, if the power goes out, everything will, I once came in and found the computer and the monitor on the floor. That was exciting.
Oh,
Wow.
So I have come in with sometimes when they do some cleaning
Ooh.
and found the cables disconnected and whatnot. There's probably nothing you can do. If that happens, someone's going to have to come in and put Humpty Dumpty back together. So, it is what it is.
Okay.
Wow.
But that's a very rare occurrence.
yeah.
So.
Just at certain times of year, we seem to have a lot of power interruptions at Radnor.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere from a moment to an hour or more. Meeting House has been pretty good, but
Yeah, we've been lucky, and hopefully the worst of it's over, but you never know. Spring thunderstorm.
mhm.
That's
It's still-
true, yeah. And I was just wondering how to access the recording.
Yeah, so that's over here with the record button, and we are recording now.
No, I mean, how do I access this recording?
Oh,
once
this
we're
recording.
done?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll have to send you this recording because this recording actually, so we're not recording right now on the meeting account. We're recording on my account.
Okay, all
But I can
right.
show you how to access the meetings recordings. Actually, it's really not hard. In fact, I could do that. I'm gonna shut down this Zoom screen, right? Okay.
Okay,
We'll do that. We'll end the meeting. Okay. We could always go back into it if we wanted to, but I'll show you how to access the Zoom. So we go to zoom.us. Let's see. And we sign in. Let's see. See if it's going to let me do that. Sometimes it's difficult. Let's see. Radnor.meeting@gmail.com. Okay. And it's Fox and Fell 1718. That's the password. I can send this to you.
Okay.
Now it's probably going to challenge me here. Let's see.
Mhm.
Let's see. Skip for now and sign in. No, it let me in because it recognizes this computer as one that we've logged into before.
Mhm.
So this is our Radnor Meeting Zoom account. And then you just go down here to recordings. And here you would see. So this was a podcast that got recorded, and this was probably our last business meeting, March 8th, right there.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to take a recording that had been done and share it, you just click on the recording and then you say copy a shareable link. And then you can just literally email that link to somebody and they can access the recording. So, but mhm.
I was gonna say, well, I won't have you go back, but along the bottom, if we were doing a meeting for business and we needed to record something, that was on the bottom, right? Or was it under participants?
Yeah, I can show you how to do that. Actually, it's really easy.
It's the more button to the far right. It was
Yeah,
one of the icons under the more
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
more
I'll show
button.
you. I can show you where it is.
Yeah.
There. Just join the meeting again. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And let's see. More. Record to the cloud. When I click this, it will start recording. It would start recording.
Okay, and we want to do it to the cloud. That's how
Yeah, that's how you do it.
okay.
Yep. It's right there. And because now it's logged in, see, since I logged in on the web into the account, it now assumes that we are in Radnor's account. So that it's a smart application.
But you don't want to be reporting to this that computer. You always
No,
want to use
no, no.
cloud.
You want to record to the cloud because then everybody could access it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's to record. And if you don't see the record button there, you would just go under more and it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, any other questions about this? This is again the desktop. It all looks the same, and I'll just stop the share. And that is all we know.
I might need to go over there and practice it, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. This has
Thank
been
you.
really helpful,
Thank
and
you.
the
This has
video that
been
you sent
good.
ahead of time and the
Yeah,
instructions were also really helpful.
yeah,
Thank
they
you
were
so
wonderful.
much.
And
Thank
Yeah, that's
so,
you.
great. And now we have this as an instructional video as well as the other one. We'll do the other one too, and we'll have that available. I'll make sure to, actually, what I'll even do is I'll put it up on the YouTube channel so it's available if somebody needs to watch it.
yeah.
Oh,
Great.
that'd be
So,
great.
question for you, David.
Mhm.
If we were to have one of those situations where we have to cancel meeting for worship because of weather or something like that, where getting to the meeting house is hazardous,
Yeah,
we would still do everything exactly the same, except there's no assuming there's power at the meeting house, we would just be a remote host. Is that right? Can we do it that way?
right. And you don't even have to worry about attaching the meeting. So really all you have to do is have somebody go into the Zoom link and use the host code and they're the host.
Ah,
So it's
Mhm.
anybody could join the meeting, use the host code, and they're the host. So it's
great.
really as
Mhm.
if you have the host code, you could be making yourself the host from any computer that can join the meeting.
But I mean, if just for whatever reason, we could also do it as a remote host and use the meeting computer. Of course, what you'd see is an empty meeting.
Right, exactly. You could do it, and in essence, yeah. In essence, this is the breakthrough. This is like the eureka. The meeting doesn't have to be attached to the meeting house. It could
Right.
be just out there on the internet. It has
Could be
nothing
anywhere.
to do with the meeting. It's just that that computer is joining the meeting as if it was another member,
Right.
Yeah.
you're opening up a window into the meeting. Like that's what's making this whole thing work, basically.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to be in there. You could be anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What would William Penn say?
He'd
Eureka.
say that the darkness will not overcome the light.
Exactly. Well, most of this is going through fiber optic cables. You know what they work on?
Yes, they do. They work on light. They work
Pulses
on
of light. So there you are.
It's pretty amazing, actually. It is. I can't believe, to me, the most mind-boggling thing I've ever seen was, I don't know if you remember this during the pandemic. The pandemic, like the first week when all those people went on Zoom and Zoom stayed up. I mean, it was
Yeah.
unbelievable. They
Yeah.
had the architecture. They had a scalable architecture using, I guess they were using Amazon, and their whole architecture scaled because they had it just designed to scale. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
I remember back in the early 1980s when Conrail was approached by, I forget which company it was, that they wanted to bury fiber optic cable and on our right of way. And he said, okay, we can do that because it was a money stream, and set up all the hardware to do that. And they said, what are they going to use this for? I said, well, it's long distance telephone, TV, and stuff like that, data communication. Oh, what do they need that for? People asked, but we didn't care. It was like, they want to bury it, we'll let them bury it. And, as long as they pay us rent. And that was the beginning, because that permitted real broadband communication.
Hmm.
And I remember back then, well, it's more than 40 years ago, saying, someday we'll all have our own personal cable, have our own personal fiber. Oh, that'll never happen. No, that'll never happen. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
We are living in the future. We are living in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now everybody's got bios.
No doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
That's
we're
all.
good?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
thank you
good.
so much. Yeah, I think
Stop the
so.
recording.